welcome to Computer Tech and More. Today I'm going to be doing my open box, my Odyssey Neo G8 gaming monitor. So this monitor is a very expensive monitor. It costs $1,500, or it's actually got a price reduction right now to $1,300. So it's not a gaming monitor for everybody, but it is a substantial upgrade from my previous monitor. And I'll talk about my previous monitor once I have this set up. I may have opened the box upside down. Oh, let's carefully take out. All right, in here, it's got some very nice packaging. We got some cables. Your power cable. Looks like a display port, USB 3, your power brick is in there. Let's see, back here is part of the display back cover. Oh, there's the display stand, pretty heavy, looks pretty good. And let's see, instructions. There's the other part of the display stand. Let's get all these out of the way. And we'll see what these are in a moment. Let's get that box out of the way. All right, we got the monitor in position. Let's go ahead and get it set up. So I'll go over the specs in the next section, as well as removing the peels, but one key note about this monitor is that it's a curved display. So this is my first time working with a curved display, so you're going to get a first-time impression directly from me, someone who's never experienced a curved display. So I did buy this for myself. I am unsponsored, so I'm hoping, I'll deal with that peel in a second, that I really love this monitor, so I'll keep it and be using it for basically years to come, because my previous monitor was a 27-inch 2K, so 1440p, and I've been looking at 4K for quite some time, and so this one checked off a lot of boxes. Back peel off. Let's take the stand out. Keep it all on camera. The camera's situated on top of a bookshelf, so I can't see what anything looks like. I hope I'm in frame as I'm peeling all of this. Lots of tape. It's all over my fingers. There we go. There's what the stand looks like. It's got a peel on it. Ooh, noisy. There we go. It has pre-installed screws, so all you have to do is line it up and put it in. I'm going to use my handy dandy iFixit toolkit. Let's get the right screwdriver out. I want this one. Okay. Let's get it lined up. It has a little instruction thing on here. So I think it's saying don't bang it in. Place it into the monitor stand. Oh, it's got a little plastic hook right there at the front. I don't think that'll show up very well on camera. So you have to bring it in at an angle and slide it into place. And then it all slides down, and then you tighten these screws. One, two, three, four. Okay, next we're gonna take a look at the foot. So it's got a little screw in the bottom, so don't put away your screwdriver. and it's metal. So we're gonna slide it into the bottom, the base, take the screwdriver, and screw it in so it's nice and tight. It's really important to make sure that these parts are well screwed in, because it would be really bad if your brand new $1,200, $1,400, $1,500 monitor, how much we paid for it, fell and broke. I know I would be upset because, again, I purchased this with my own money to replace my old monitor. All right, let's tip it up. There we go. That's the back. There's the front. All right, we'll see you in a second when I got it plugged in. Before I do power it on, this is a visual comparison in size between the new 32-inch monitor and my old 27-inch monitor. My old monitor is an ASUS MG279Q. I said 27-inch diagonal. It's 1440p, cost $530 when it was new. It's an IPS class display with 144 hertz refresh rate. It was FreeSync Basic. I found G-Sync never really worked properly with it. It didn't have enough range, so I always just left it off. So it didn't have HDR, and I just kind of decided it was time for an upgrade. So here we are with the new one. Again, it's powered off, but list off the specs real quick. Odyssey Neo G8. It's got local dimming, mini LED, 4K. It's a VA class monitor, so it's just a different kind of display technology. 244 hertz max, but that requires display screen compression through the DisplayPort cable. So I might downscale it to 160 hertz for right now. It's got HDR Quantum 2000, but realistically you're going to see more like 1400 brightness for HDR. HDMI 2.1, two of those, and a DisplayPort 1.4, and it's 32 inches. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in, and we'll see you at the next step. Sorry, one more thing to check. What kind of ergonomics does this have? So it goes up and down. It's got a very good amount of rotation. It'll go full 90 degrees, which will, or 180 degrees. Or yeah, that's 90 degrees. So it makes it accessing the back very easy over here. And let's see, it's got a good amount of up and down. So it's a little wobbly on its stand, but so just don't shake it too much. But that's the kind of ergonomics, so that's a very good amount. The back is very plasticky. Let's be careful turning this thing around. There we go. It's all plastic in the back, and it'll have a little LED ring in there. Your ports are right there, and now I'll see you in a second with it powered on. Let's take a look at the settings really quick. In the Nvidia control panel, I have my video color adjusted set to full. The HD CP status is perfectly aligned. G-Sync is enabled. I'm sorry for the little bit of shake. I'm holding my camera right now. Again, I haven't really played around with all these settings yet, since my previous monitor was not fully able to take advantage of everything. There we are, 10-bit color, highest preset, using Nvidia color. All right, let's take a look at the menu. So in here, we have your inputs, your picture-in-picture, and the power. The center is also power, and return. So let's go to the main menu. I have a 3070, so I don't expect to run this at even 120 Hertz. So VSync and Adaptive Sync are going to be very important to my usage of this monitor. So I bought this for future capabilities, assuming I keep it at this point, since I'm still testing out, making sure that I love everything about it, since I've never owned a curved display before. Adaptive Sync on, the equalizer, adjust the brightness between the dark areas. The closer the value is to 1, the brighter the black areas will look. Infinity core lighting, core sync on. So this is the backlight of the monitor. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then picture modes, I have it set to a custom, but you can set it to frames per second. You can notice my screen just got a lot brighter. RTS, RPG, sports, sRGB, cinema, dynamic contrast, I guess. So I just set it to custom, and sRGB seemed pretty good too. I can adjust the contrast ratio. I haven't played around with that yet. Sharpness, the colors. So, you know, you can change your tone mapping. Again, I need to find a guide to really calibrate this thing. Color enhancer, contrast enhancer, black level, and it has a calibration report. So that's pretty cool. Picture-in-picture, on-screen display, local dimming I have set to high currently. If I set it to low, well, right now the screen is basically white, so shouldn't really see anything. And off means that I won't have any local dimming. So we're gonna go ahead and turn that back on. It has a headphone jack in the bottom of the monitor, so that's the volume for that. PCAV, power LED on, VRR, sync your GPU, so I just turn that on, and eco sensor mode, so that'll adjust the brightness based on your lighting conditions in your room. It has self-diagnostic, software update. You need to attach a thumb drive to the back of the monitor. Actually, to facilitate that, where is that? I plugged in an extension right here to the service port in the back, if I can do it with one hand. So they have USB 3 right there. Oh, and the little D-pad, the little menus vanish after about 20 seconds. So, and then you can register the product, and if I keep it, I'm going to do that, and reset everything, information, like model name, blah, 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 blah. All right, next part, we're going to take a look at some videos in, or not videos, some games, HDR. A few things to note about setting up this monitor. So first, in Windows, you want to make sure that you turn on HDR. I have mine scaled to 150%. I found that it made it just things easier to read. I got my resolution set up. Let's go to Advanced Display. It's my refresh rate and other print information. Color settings, there we are. Use HDR and stream HDR video. So that way everything will be as HDR as it can be. If I turn it off, we don't know if you can see the difference, but I'll load up a test video and see if I can turn it on and off, and see the difference. All right, you're gonna have to excuse the darkness. This is a black screen test. My keyboard is illuminated, so you're gonna see a little bit of extra glow through the camera of my cell phone, but there's a little bit of a halo. It's not much. It's not as much as you see on the screen, actually, through the camera. It's just very faintly apparent. visually with the eye. There's just a little small, I'm gonna say off gray, maybe a bluish color, just around the cursor wherever it's scanning on this. Hitting play, let's stop the mouse movement so everything will hopefully just disappear into the background. Oh, I stopped hitting play. There we are. And that is a perfectly black screen. I'm gonna unplug my keyboard real quick. Poop. Give it a second. And I don't know why you see this glow, but visually, I don't see anything. For comparison, my laptop sitting right next to it, this is an IPS class display. It has a very definite glow to it. This is just about pitch black. All right, let's get into testing this monitor. This is an ambient TV light test. So I just found this video on YouTube. I'd say the HDR looks like it's working really well, getting some nice bright flashes. Some very good color reproduction. I'm going to bring it in closer to the screen. All right, this is a test video with HDR off with the ambient light inclusion, or what's it called, backlight test video. I turned off the HDR right now. I'd say it still looks really good and sharp. Plenty of bright flashes. We'll turn that off, come over here, turn back HDR on. The screen resets itself a little bit. Let's go back to that video. All right, that bright orange flash. Looks really bright on my camera, but not so much on the screen right now, actually. All right, the HDR is back on. I'm going to do the ambient blacklight test comparing the two monitors. I'm going to scale them slightly offset. 4, 5, 6. Okay, now I have them running at the same time. All right, a few things I want to talk about with this monitor. This is a very big and deep monitor. It sits a lot further away from the wall than my previous one, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of had said I'm not really sure if I want to keep it or not, because the old one, the monitor stand basically was fully against the wall, and the monitor was more or less where my hand is now, and it sat flat. So with this one, you can sort of see how much further out from the desk it sits. And since my desk is both a workstation area and everything else, so I do like my taxes and whatever good stuff, and it's actually very important to have enough desk space to do everything. But let's get into the next section. I'm using Lego Star Wars. It has an HDR output, and this is the home screen for it. without HDR. I'll let you all be the judge. When I turn on HDR, resets a little bit, keep the settings, and that's what it looks like with HDR. I think that the lightsabers look a little bit brighter. But yeah, overall it looks really good. And I'm in the process of playing the game, so I've been playing it in HDR right now, so I think it looks pretty good. We'll load it up for a second, and I don't want to mess up my current game. And I'm kind of holding the camera with one hand, so as we turn, you can see things jump and get brighter for a moment and then fade a little bit. Let's see, there's a nice dark planet. So we're looking for the transition. Oh, it's very bright. Come away. So I think that looks really good. We're just flying around a little bit. All right, let's go to the next game, I guess. Okay, this is the Odyssey G8 Neo and my old ASUS. We'll go back and forth. Let you see them a few times. All right. So the lightsabers seem brighter on the Odyssey. Definitely different colors. But they appear brighter. So HDR is working. All right, let's take a look at some of the loading screens in Lego Star Wars. So I guess the colors look a little bit more washed out, or maybe the lighting, in the old monitor versus HDR. Let's see. Let's roll over to that same one. Yeah, I'd definitely say the lightsabers look a lot more brilliant in the new HDR monitor. Definitely a lot brighter. Right, we're gonna go take a quick look at my settings. DLSS. I'm gonna turn it off, just see what kind of FPS I get. And brightness, refresh rate, VSync I have turned off. HDR is turned on, that's a new one. HDR luminance, I have that set to 100%. So it'll be kind of the maximum it'll do. Okay, let's go to graphics settings, ultra, okay. And I guess for simplicity's sake, let's go and just do the let's run the benchmark. Okay, so let's take a look at how the HDR looks while just running the benchmark. And this will be a good way to just see how well my 3070 handles Tomb Raider at these settings in 4K. right, here we are in the benchmark. And we're just looking for wherever you see highlights. The color you're seeing on my camera is a little bit different than what I'm seeing visually with my eyes when I compare the two images. There's a nice pop in that Mexicana sign. I don't see very much haloing, so that's a very good sign. My FPS is also looking really good. Sorry, I have a light source behind me, so you're getting a little bit. Oh, that was a nice flare right there through the trees. I don't remember it being that bright on my non-HDR monitor. FPS is still looking really good. Yeah, look at the God rays coming through the trees, hitting those birds at the top. Bring it in close. I haven't noticed any scan lines with the monitor visually. I know that was reported, but I'm also not running it at its maximum frequency, so that might be saving me. My thoughts on a curved display right now are, it's fine. It's a little weird for doing like documents type stuff, but viewing content, it's perfectly fine. And the size, it's good. Certainly more immersive at this size than a 27-inch. Again, I'm not totally convinced on the curved display aspect at this point. Certainly wish it sat a little bit more flush against the wall. FPS is still holding solid, over 60 frames per second. Oh, it just dipped down. So for me, for this type of game, sitting at over 60 is perfectly great. It's superb. It's when you're playing first-person shooter games, they really want the super high FPS. But if you're buying this kind of monitor, you're probably playing more sightseeing, RPG games, and want cinematic type stuff. All right. Let's see how my computer did. All right, and these are the results. No surprise, I am 99% GPU bound. That should be obvious. I'm playing it or running this at very high graphics fidelity. But my frames per second were holding steady at around 77, with minimums looking like they're 56. So I'll probably keep these settings. All right. We're going to be looking at where's the Tomb Raider. These are the graphics settings. Right now I have the Odyssey G8, Neo G8, and then here's my old monitor. Here's the graphics settings. The graphics settings. So one key takeaway just from the load screen is that the new monitor looks a bit less washed out and the darker areas look darker. All right, we'll get into testing. All right, here we are in game. Got the same scene. I don't know. I guess right there. That looks pretty washed out. All over here it looks pretty sharp. But I don't know if that's HDR or just differences in the monitor. All right, let's move to a different area. Okay, the next area highlight. So lots of detail in the clouds, the light shining through. It's missing a lot of that cloud detail. In not very well light shining through, so I would say HDR is really a thing. Of course, then when we look at the rock wall, I can see a lot of detail on it. Over here, the detail is much harder to see because it's a dark area, but it makes it much more realistic. Now I'm in a dark cave with bright behind her. I'd say the skin tone colors look better in HDR, but I'll let you all decide. All right, let's move on to the next bit. All right, here's the Odyssey G8 again. Scan across for different details. All right, and my old ASUS. So it's kind of funny, like these rocks, I can easily see. Go to the new one. They're basically black because they're in shadow. So I may continue to play around with settings and see what I get. But it definitely gives a lot more contrast in the different colors. Right, this is Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Turning on my HDR. We are black, so I can adjust the black level. For me, visually, let's see, 0 makes it just barely visible, and at 1000 I can go even higher than that. I'm gonna leave it at 1000, and just for sake of looking at it, it's basically maxed out. There's my resolution. All right, let's walk around the game and see how it looks. So I just reloaded one of my saves. Okay. We'll just walk around a little bit. You can go ahead and fast forward if you want to. I'm just gonna let the gameplay take me to let's go to the Memorial Hospital. They have some big windows in there. Okay, so there we are. It looks a little bit different than on my screen than it does on my camera. I'm gonna go back to options, calibration. I'm gonna turn off HDR. Let's see how it looks. All right, I'm gonna turn HDR back on. You know, it's been very subtle for me the way HDR works, and you know, unless I had them side by side looking at it, I wouldn't have even registered how much of a difference it makes in gameplay. So, I mean, yeah, visually going back and forth, it's really hard for me to tell exactly what's changing and how much better things look or don't look. So this leads me to, I guess, where I will start wrapping up this video. I'll see you in a second where I'll load up the next talking point. This is another test video that is online on YouTube. It's the Real 4K HDR 60 frames per second LG OLED Perfect Black in HDR. So I guess I'll use this section to talk about my comments with this monitor. Turn back my light on. So this monitor is absolutely fantastic. I love a lot of the features about it. Checks off a lot of the boxes. It's mini LED. It's not micro LED. So it still has local dimming zones. So there'll be little boxes around the screen where each one is a zone. Mine, it has over 1,000 zones on 32 inches, so the zones are very small. But it's not an OLED, it's not QD-OLED. So QD-OLED for me would be kind of the in-game, the perfect monitor. But after experiencing this particular screen, I can tell you that the Alienware is the current only QD OLED monitor on the market, and based on how big this is on my desk, I wouldn't want to go bigger than this. I don't want the ultra wide screen. That is a personal preference. It may be something that you personally want, but for game compatibility, a lot of older games that I play just can't handle that resolution, so there's not much reason for me to go there. And then having it take extra width on my desk, essentially usable space, is kind of a no-go for me. That's my own personal preference. I'm going to just keep loading these next videos. They're all on YouTube, so I don't think I'll be interrupting anybody's licensing. How do I feel about a curved display? Certainly, I think flat is better at this size. I kind of agree that a curved display is good for 32 inches. I wish the stand was a bit flatter so that it didn't take up as much desk space. But looking down at kind of what I've got, I can, still slide my keyboard back there if I want. When I do my taxes, I remove the desk pad, that kind of stuff. So if you had asked me before I got this monitor how much of a difference HDR would make, I'd probably be like, wow, it'll be a light and day, it'll be just wow, overwhelming. But for me, it's actually been very subtle, and I feel like I've kind of ramped it up on this monitor with the difference in contrast ratio and things like that. It certainly makes a huge difference when I have the two things next to each other. So going from my old monitor, that what was it, the ASUS MG279Q, something like that, MG. It was a FreeSync monitor, sort of like this, not FreeSync Pro. It was $500 new, and that to me is kind of the sweet spot in price. This is an expensive monitor at over $1,000. But if you're looking for an upgrade from your traditional kind of LCD, I certainly will say that this is a great choice. It may not be the best choice for you, the viewer, personally, but the colors are superb. VA is more known for its contrast ratio than color reproduction, but with the quantum layer that Samsung calls it, it should be up there with the best IPS displays. And because it's VA, it won't have the IPS glow for black scenes, so your black is going to be superb, the best, quote best, until you go to a OLED or anything like that. You don't have to worry about burn-in. You don't have to worry about any of that. It should have a traditional lifespan. I have several over 10-year-old LCD monitors, LED. So all in all, it's a great monitor. I'm at the time of filming this, I haven't decided if I'm truly going to keep it or not, because $1,000 is a lot. And again, this is my own money. I'm unsponsored, so this would be my upgrade. This would be the next monitor I use for 5 years. And it's hard to predict where technology is going to go, how quickly it's going to advance, whether the next generation of QD-OLEDs is going to be out next year and it's going to be in this form factor, this size, or 27-inch 4K, since right now there aren't any 4K QD OLED monitors. They're only 1440p. Is 4K worth it for gaming? For the games I play, I think it's absolutely top-notch perfect, because I don't play a lot of first-person shooters anymore. But if that's your cup of tea, your bag of chips, then this probably isn't the monitor for you. I'd probably stick with a 1440p to get the higher frame rates, and then you don't need as expensive hardware. But the RTX 3070 certainly runs 4K with the older games. They're now older, that I'm playing currently, and I think that's my thoughts on this. I really appreciate you all watching this video, and please subscribe for more content. It will really help me out grow my channel, and if you have any positive or negative feedback, constructive criticism, I'll take it and try to improve my videos. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.